If they discovered her Bible, she would be severely punished. For legendsoffaith.org, I'm Rob Cutter. Corrie and her family were in the jewelry business in a small town in the Netherlands. After the death of her mother, Corrie trained to be a watchmaker, and she would become the first woman licensed as a watchmaker in Holland. The family's faith inspired them to serve others, and they did so by offering shelter, food, and money to those who were in need. Then darkness fell over the Netherlands in World War II as the Germans invaded their once peaceful country. For the time being, business would continue as usual. One day, a well-dressed woman came to the shop with a suitcase in her hand. She was nervous as she kept looking back at the door. She told them she was Jewish and that her husband had been arrested several months earlier and her son went into hiding. It was through the underground she heard that Corrie's family had previously helped her Jewish neighbors escape. Desperate, she asked if they could help her. Corrie's father eagerly agreed that she could stay with them, even though the police headquarters were only a half a block away. Corrie's family would become very active in the Dutch underground hiding refugees. They even built a hiding place that included a ventilation system and a buzzer that could be heard throughout the house that would warn the refugees to get into the secret room quickly during security sweeps. For the next few years, their underground network was deep and wide. Then a Dutch informant told the Nazis about Corrie's family's secret refugee work. Soon, the family would all be rounded up and arrested and sent to a concentration camp. Meanwhile, the Germans would search the entire store and living quarters as 6 refugees were crammed into that secret room. Undiscovered, they stayed in that cramped space for nearly 3 days before being rescued by the Dutch underground. Corrie did manage to grab her Bible, even though it was forbidden. While waiting in line to be processed at the camp, she noticed that everybody was being searched and patted down for contraband. If they discovered her Bible, she would be severely punished. Full of anxiety, she began to pray. As she was getting closer to the checkpoint, she asked God to intervene. As the woman in front of her was being searched, a German guard walked right past Corrie and went to the next person behind her. With a sigh of relief, she walked through the gates without being noticed. It was just 10 days later her father died, and Corrie would witness the brutal abuse from the guards and the murder of prisoners. If things were not bleak enough, Corrie and her sister were sent to a death camp. While there, she would suffer another loss with the death of her sister under a suspicious illness. Heartbroken, she looked up at the clear night sky and was amazed by the beauty. She was reminded of a Bible verse, that the very hairs on our head are numbered and how valuable we are to God. It was less than 2 weeks later, on Christmas Day, that Corrie would see the light at the end of the tunnel. She was released from that concentration camp only to discover days later it was a clerical error, and sadly, all the women in her age group were sent to the gas chambers. In the years that followed, Corrie ten Boom rebuilt her life and her community by continuing the mission of her parents before her. She would go back to Germany and would forgive the guards who abused her. She traveled the world and would speak at many public events, and she authored many books, including her biography, that would become a bestseller and be turned into a movie, The Hiding Place. Corrie's amazing testimony is an example on how God works in our lives and how His light can shine even in the darkest places. For more stories like this and for ways to donate, visit us at legendsoffaith.org.